Hey, what's up everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be talking about the importance of rotating within the spine when sprinting, and we're going to start the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab. Reach your individual goals. You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video. Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become. All right, so this is something that I've talked about in the past when doing like an individual breakdown. I know I talked about that with Noah Lyles. I may have talked about it with some other people as well, but really I wanted to make a video to specifically talk about this issue because I do think it's something that is really affecting a lot of people when it comes to sprinting. A lot of people too that are playing like football, soccer, track and field. I would say those are like the main athletes. A lot of times in baseball, because they're more used to having that rotation within the trunk, but from throwing, there's not as many people that have that issue when running. They're a lot more free in their spine pretty naturally. And so what we're seeing here is, and we can see we're at a similar spot for both of these athletes here. And what happens here is on the right, we can see as we're going through the amount of rotation. Really, the athlete on the left is not bad when it comes to sprinting, not bad when it comes to his overall mechanics. We just really want to be able to showcase this particular thing, which is that he's not rotating. So we can see athlete on the right where we can see like his whole chest, right? We can see that left shoulder. You see his chest coming all the way through. Where on the right, I mean, we can see a little bit of his chest. At the end, we can kind of see the shoulder come through, but really, as he's coming through, we don't see very much spine rotation happening. And what that does is it eliminates that transverse plane or makes it more difficult to be able to access that transverse plane. And a lot of people know the most amount of our force out of is through that transverse plane, the rotational plane. That's why things like swinging a golf club or a baseball bat or even throwing, we're able to generate so much force, or punching as well, is because it creates that rotational action in the movement pattern, which allows us to be able to generate more force. But if we're not rotating within our hips and within the trunk, then it makes it a little bit harder for us to be able to fully maximize or fully utilize the muscles necessary to generate a lot of force. So when it comes to sprinting here, we can see even athlete on the right, he's much more efficient, right? On the left, a lot further back within the leg because he has to overcompensate for a lack of proper rotation within his upper body. On the left side, it's a little bit harder to be able to see from this angle, but we have a similar thing going on where we're just not getting very much overall rotation. We want to be able to see one arm come a little bit more through and the other hand and arm get all the way back in order to make it so we are generating a good amount of extension within the shoulder, good amount of rotation within the spine to then make it so we could better activate the hip flexors and the glutes and also use the rotation from the shoulder through the hip, through the entire leg to be able to really generate the most amount of force as possible. So that's really the concept, and this is something that I recommend doing on a treadmill and starting at a 50 or 60% intensity to make it so now you could really feel the difference of, you know, if you're watching this and saying, oh, this connects to me, this is something I want to improve, then first try to run and generate more rotation. We don't want to end up coming too much across with the hand. I would say the end goal would be you'd want your hand to be like even with the nose. Once we start going too far across here, that's going to be too much. And then as we pull back, what we want to be doing is we really want to be pulling back and out. So as we come back and through, and we talked about in this past, that elbow wants to be going straight back and the hand would almost want to be slightly outside of the elbow. So what you don't want to end up doing is you don't want to end up doing this type of thing where you're going out and in. We want to be coming in, you know, slightly in, so the end range would be here. Also, the height doesn't want to be too high. We would like the end range of the height, at least what I see from the guys that are sprinting, are like the eyebrows to maybe the top of the forehead. You don't even need to be that high. A lot of people are within like the mouth, chin area that are top sprinters. And then from there, we're pulling back, right? And we want to keep that elbow tight. And again, I usually tell guys like you want to kind of have that hand to go outside of your elbow. So as you're going back, that helps in making it so when people go and they're too like wide with the elbow, we can correct that. We want to be able to pull straight back there. And just by doing that and generating rotation here, most of that rotation is going to really be coming from the front shoulder, right? And being able to keep everything together, that's going to help us in now being able to drive more back. We really want to be driving and getting that extension rotation, and that other shoulder is going to help us in being able to make it so we could have a good control of our spine. Again, This is something you want to start off slow, get in sync, get coordination with the upper body and the lower body. Doesn't need to be exactly the same on one side or the other. Everybody's going to have some differences. Everybody's going to have things that are going to suit well for them, but it certainly allows the core to be a lot more a part of the sprint. It certainly allows you to have better range through the arms, better overall activation through the lower body, and therefore I think it's an essential part of being able to run faster and something you should really work to be able to implement, especially if you are having any issues with hitting any type of plateaus when it comes to your overall speed. So as always, guys, if you like the information, click that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, you can leave those down below. Also, check out the description to find some of the things we're doing in terms of programming. There are some things that I'm changing up within my website, within my program in general, just to make it so I think a lot more people will have access to some of the information, some of the videos, and also make it so the programs, at least for the in-person stuff, is going to be just that much more valuable for people starting to implement the ability to actually have daily workouts that you're doing. Even if we're seeing each other, once, twice a week, the most 3 times a week typically is how much I'm training with guys, then you still have access to workouts that you could be doing. And really what I want to be able to do for people that are online is just give more access to some degree of accountability, making it so we are hopping on Zoom calls every 2 weeks or every month to make it so we're able to go over what you've been doing when it comes to your workouts, what you've been doing when it comes to your improvements from a technique perspective, and just get really specific on what are the things that we need to be able to really isolate and improve within the time period coming forward, how we're going to do that, what are the drills, what are the exercises, and if there's anything that's coming up that are issues, right, that are holding you back, being able to address those and make it so you can, again, consistently get better. So yeah, check that out in the description down below. That is something I'm still working to totally unveil, so it's not all done yet, but yeah, we want to be able to get you going within the program there. And if you're interested and if you have any questions, again, you can check out the description. That'll have all the information on how to get a hold of me to ask any questions. As always, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.